And away we go. Welcome to Niners Nightly. Hope everybody's having a great whatever today is. Today is October the 11th. Welcome to Niners Nightly on KMBR's YouTube channel. Larry Krueger with you. Hope everybody's having a great day. I was down in Santa Clara today, and we got a great hour. We're going to talk Niners, and I definitely want to hear your comments. Give me your – I'd love to hear as you guys file into the room here. I'd love to hear – what you guys thought of the preseason game in the chat. And I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on just, what you thought of preseason game number one, and what you think as we sit here today is your primary concern about the 49ers in the upcoming season. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So if you're if you jump into the chat, we'd love to hear from you with your questions, your comments, and your thoughts on where the 49ers sit after one preseason game. But like we always do, we're going to start with what happened today in 49er land. Then we're going to play some cuts a little bit later on. And then we'll read some of the chats and get into it. But we always start with what happened today in 49er land. Well, the biggest story of the day just kind of popped up, just kind of, out of the blue. And I noticed it at practice. There were only 7 49er wide receivers suited up in practice, which is a really, really low number because Shanahan says he prefers to have 12. He likes 12 receivers in camp. They had 7. They're down 5 receivers today. So immediately I was like, well, what's going on? Who's out there? Who's not out there? And I'm counting and I'm pointing. I'm looking at the roster. I'm like, who's not out here? Well, we find out after practice that Jordan Watkins, Niners rookie receiver, who has looked really good in this camp, looked really good in OTAs. I thought looked good the other night against the Denver Broncos Saturday night at Levi's. He's got a high ankle sprain, and he will be out at least a month. And here we go. The injuries are really starting to mount, and they're really starting to mount at wide receiver. Jordan Watkins out a month. And, as I said, as we started the show, it's August 11th, right? And a month, I don't think there is a month between now and the 49ers first game. So is he going to be there? Does that mean he's not there week one? Suddenly the cut down at the wide receiver position has gotten very, very interesting. Will Jordan Watkins make it back by week one? And if not, who are the 49ers top, 5 wide receivers, 6 wide receivers, 7 wide receivers? They may be forced to carry more than they really want to at the cut down, which may hurt their ability to keep some other depth pieces at other positions simply because they can't go into Lumen Field week one against Seattle with no receivers. So who are their top 5 or 6 wide receivers for week one? All right. Well, one, Ricky Pearsall had a great practice today. He continues to look really, really good, whether he's catching passes from Mac Jones, Carter Bradley, or Brock Purdy. Pearsall was a monster in the red zone today. He's looking great. He's a first-round draft choice at wide receiver. A lot of receivers take a full year to kind of adapt to the NFL, the complexities of being an NFL wide receiver. So, of course, he got shot, which only added to the hurdles that he had as a rookie to have to endure and somehow get through. But he looks fantastic right now. Ricky Pearsall looks legitimately really, really good. To the point where they may want to sit him out. I mean, I know he needs reps. I know he needs to stack days. I know he needs experience. I know he needs to play, but they need to make sure he's there for Seattle at this point. Who's going to be there for Seattle? Let's talk about it. All right, Pearsall, obviously, he's your number one right now. Juwan Jennings. Kyle was asked about him. Once again, there's no timetable. He was there working with training staff today near the weight room. he came outside and I won't do the saw his shadow and there's more winter. I won't do more summer. I won't do that stupid joke. But he came outside. He was spotted at the facility. We have a JJ sighting. Is he holding out? Is he holding in? I've told you my barometer on this. I don't have a lot of patience for this crap. I really don't. Be straight with me, man. I'm straight with everybody. I deliver it straight. I kind of prefer it being dealt straight back at us. I don't like the misdirection. I don't like the kind of the cloak and dagger secretive crap. I like people who will just come out and be like, you know what, stand on business. Yeah, JJ's here and he's healthy and he could play, but he wants a new contract. He's kind of pissed and then he's not going to be happy till he gets one. I'd rather, if that's the story, then I wish they would just say so. I think we're all big boys and girls here. We can all handle the truth. And when I say we all, I'm talking about Shanahan, Lynch, the players, the media, the fans. We can handle the truth. We really can. But the secretive stuff, whatever. It's a calf. All right. My thought on this is real basic. If he comes back and plays and there's no contract extension, then I'll apologize. It was the calf, and I never should have doubted anybody. But if he comes back only after he signs some kind of a bump in salary, then all the calf talk is a bunch of malarkey. And I don't use malarkey enough. I need to use the word malarkey more. But it's fitting. It's appropriate in this setting to throw malarkey. If he gets a contract extension, and signs, and then they try to say, well, no, but he actually had a calf as well. And it was just, not buying it. Don't believe you. Why do I not believe? Because I didn't see him go down with a calf injury, and he looked to be in awesome shape. I saw JJ at the beginning of camp. He looked great, like really great, like in perfect shape, like he's ready to roll. Not like, oh, he's got a calf injury, but you never know. But that's my barometer. If he doesn't get an extension, I will say, you know what? I'm a jaded media person at this point, and I could not be convinced that there was a legitimate injury. But you know what? He's not getting an extension, and you know what? I guess maybe it was the calf. Maybe he just didn't want to risk anything. You know what? The way the wide receivers are falling in this camp, maybe he's doing them a favor by not showing up, because they need him. And the last thing they want to see is him go down. So, but once again, if he gets the extension, it's going to the old calf. What happened to the calf? The other thing about the calf is there's no timetable. No timetable on this calf injury. It's just, it's a calf, but how's he doing? He's doing pretty good. When's he coming back? No timetable. So believe what you want to believe. But Pearsall and somehow maybe a miraculous calf recovered Juwan Jennings should be your week 1 starters. Jacob Cowing is returning to practice. They're saying maybe tomorrow. He is not played at all in this camp, and I'm really eager to see him because supposedly he was looking great. So Cowing is a 4-3 guy who, year 2 receiver, the same way Pearsall is making a big leap from year 1 to year 2. Jacob Cowing is making that same leap, and I expect both of them to look noticeably better, in year 2 than they were in year 1. So that's 3 receivers right there. Okay, so you're halfway home. Let's say you need 6. Demarcus Robinson, no word. I mean, Shanahan said today that they are going through the appeal process. The Niners are still anticipating a 3-game suspension. I think most people are expecting it right out of the chute. So maybe that takes him off the field. So you have no Demarcus Robinson, which is that hurts because he's really a good player. He's really been impressive in this camp. So Robinson's out for the beginning. Then you have Ayuk. He's out for the beginning. By the way, there was another timetable update today on Ayuk, and I'm laughing because I got people going, you need to apologize. And I'm listening, what? I said the guy was hurt in week 7. He hurt his ACL, MCL, and meniscus, and that it would be a full year and then some. I mean, that's not crazy. That's just normal. If you tear your ACL, it's about a 1-year deal, maybe a little sooner if everything goes right. But it wasn't just an ACL, was it? It was an ACL, MCL, meniscus. So I would say a full calendar year for sure. He was hurt in week 7. I'm suggesting he's coming back in week 10. That's reasonable. That's what I would expect. Shanahan said today he could return as soon as week 5. He said all of my ACL guys, I kind of think they're right in that week 5, week 6, but it could be week 10. I mean, he literally said that today. And I got people going, you need to, backtrack. What? I'm the most accurate guy there is. I said week 10. And I'm damned if it won't be week 10. It's going to be week 10. Watch him come back in week 10. Shanahan said today it could be week 5, it could be week 6, or it could be week 10. Well, guess what he didn't say? It could be week 1. So that was what I was pushing back on so concretely a month ago, is these reports that were out there and the Niners are really optimistic and he might be back week 1. What? Why? Is he superhuman? What timeline would a guy who just blew out 3 parts of his knee? It's like he's one ligament away from a full-blown knee, massive knee injury, the biggest you could possibly have. But he's going to make it back in less than a year as a wide receiver. So I just pushed back on the idea that he was coming back week 1. He's not coming back week 1. I said he's coming back in week 10. He's likely coming back in week 10. So he's out. So Robinson's out. Ayuk's out. Watkins potentially could be out. So you're down 3 receivers. You have Pearsall, Jennings, and Cowing. So you have 3 receivers, and you're down 3 receivers. So who does that help? Well, luckily, the Niners do have some numbers here. They have Robbie Chosen, big receiver. Shanahan said today that his chances of making the team are pretty good. He runs in the 4.3s. He's a veteran. He's made some plays. He's a big-bodied guy. There's Isaiah Hodgins, who doesn't run in the 4.3s, but he's another big-bodied receiver who's a veteran. Then you have Russell Gage, who's had a very good camp, and I think Gage is highly likely to get one of those spots. And then there's Junior Bergen, who is their, hand-picked 7th-round return man that they badly want to make the team and be their return guy. So, this huge problem on paper, may not actually be a huge problem. Yes, are they down possibly Demarcus Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Watkins to start the year? It's possible. But they do have Pearsall. They will have Jennings, who predictions say he'll make a massive comeback from the calf. He'll be back. You have Cowing in year 2. So there's 3. And then you have Robbie Chosen, Isaiah Hodgins, Junior Bergen, Russell Gage. So you have 7 viable. I mean, you also have other guys too. You have Tariq Owens. But you get 7. Owens is really raw. He's more of a developmental guy. But I think you get 7 competitive players there. Now, there's also trade potential. There's signing potential. Matt Barrows asked Shanahan today about Amari Cooper, and he kind of gave him kind of an awkward answer, non-answer, where it's like, hey, we got to be sure that what we're doing is the right move for now and the right move for the future. And he made it seem like it didn't fit their cap and that it would be too expensive. And then Grant asked him about, hey, don't you guys have $47 million in cap room, 3rd most in the league? And he's like, yeah, but they'd like to roll some of that over. There's balloon payments, I guess, coming on some of their other players, and it looks like the Niners have a ton of cap room, but they have a lot of that money earmarked for how they want to spend it. So that's the big story of the day. Jordan Watkins is out, and he's out a month with a high ankle sprain. And move over Brandon Ayuk, move over Demarcus Robinson, move over, calf injury, JJ. We have a new injured receiver, and his name's Jordan Watkins. So, as I said, the Niners have, they have some options. They have some internal options, and we'll talk about some external options as well. I don't love the idea of Amari Cooper just because being on the perimeter in the NFL, I mean, you got to have speed, you got to have athleticism. I mean, you got to really be on your game. He's an older player at this point. I'd rather go younger. Now, Coach Yak put out a thing, hey, it's time for Gabe Davis. I would fully endorse that because he's 26. Gabe Davis makes sense. He's probably not even going to cost as much as Amari Cooper. So Gabe Davis wouldn't be a bad idea. We'll get into, before the hour is done, realistic and unrealistic trade options, because there's a lot of trade discussion with the cut down coming up on the 26th. And we'll talk about, all the names that are out there and what names make sense and what names don't make sense. We'll get to that later on this hour as well. So we always start, as I said, with what happened today in Ninerland. So that was the big story, but that was not the only story. There was a lot of other stories today. What else happened? The Niners signed Trevis Gibson, the former Chicago Bear, the defensive lineman. He's 28. They signed him today. He's 6'3", 260. And then he went out on the practice field and he practiced well. I mean, he had a sack. He had a tip pass that went into the arms of Nick Bosa for an interception of Brock Purdy. Trevis Gibson's got talent. 6'3", really strong, 260, 270 in that range. He was the Bears' 5th-round pick out of Tulsa in 2020. Really strong. Always a really strong player. Had 25 reps of 225 at the combine the year he came out. Always a very strong player. Comes from an incredibly athletic family. His dad played hoops at Texas. His mom ran track at North Texas. His brother played hoops at K-State and is now playing professionally in Finland. And Trevis Gibson is a player that I've liked for a while. He's a late bloomer. He's got an explosive first step and violent hands. He played 8 games in 2023 with Tennessee. He's played for Chicago and Tennessee with cups of coffee with Jacksonville, Seattle, and obviously now he's with the Niners. But he got first-team reps today. First-team reps. That's how thin the Niner D-line is right now. So, but this guy can play. I think this is a guy that can make their final roster, to be completely honest. I know that sounds funny for a guy that was signed in August, but Trevis Gibson is a good player. And I think that's a really nice get. They needed to go into the marketplace for a couple D linemen coming out of that game the other night. And this is a good one. This guy's good. He can play. He's strong enough to play inside and like in the NASCAR package if you wanted to play him inside. But he's also quick enough to get the edge. He's a solid player, really solid player. So I like the addition of Gibson. The Niners also activated Andre Dillard off the PUP list. He wore number 65 today at practice. And I'll say this, Andre Dillard today looked worlds better than Austin Pleasance or Spencer Burford as a pass protector. I don't know if he's anything as a run blocker, but Andre Dillard can pass protect better than those guys. And, that was my big takeaway from the other night is that Burford can't do it. And and it wasn't about the other night, by the way. It's been about what he's done in practice. Guys don't go from guard to tackle very often. You see guys go from tackle to guard. They don't go from guard to tackle. Why? Because if you're going to play tackle in the NFL, you're making big money. If you're really good enough to play tackle, you're going to play tackle. You're not going to start at guard. What? So you can bang heads and not get paid as much? It's like if you have the ability to play tackle, you play tackle. It's like somebody who's playing if you're playing in the outfield, you're playing left, but you're really a great center fielder. What are you doing in left? You should be in center. Same thing. If you're a great offensive tackle and you can pass block to the level that it takes to pass block these awesome speed rushers in the NFL, what are you doing at guard? What are you doing at guard? So, Burford's a guard. Pleasance is a guard. I'm pretty convinced of that. I almost nothing I could see would probably convince me otherwise at this point. But Andre Dillard was activated. There he was off the PUP list. One disastrous night from Burford, and suddenly there's Andre Dillard. But Dillard's not, as I said, not a great run blocker, but he is a very good pass blocker. And I think he's probably going to push past those other guys and get that third tackle spot. Just a guess, but that's what I think is going to happen. One more note on Trevis Gibson. I forgot to throw in there. It's not like Trevis Gibson is some guy that's never done anything. This guy in 2021 with the Bears had 7 sacks in a season. So he's got some production. He's done some things in the NFL. This isn't some guy who's just been around the block and a cup of coffee everywhere and he can't play and everybody. No, 7 sacks for Trevis Gibson in 2021 with Chicago. A couple other notes today as far as transactions. The Niners waived Tanner Mordecai again. Now, will they bring him back? We know they like him, but his agent may be like, hey, you know what? They're going with Carter Bradley, who's the son of the assistant defensive coordinator. They're only going to carry 2 quarterbacks on their active roster. It's going to be a practice squad spot. It's probably going to go to Carter Bradley. If you both clear waivers, he's the guy that's going to be re-signed, and you're probably not. So they waived Tanner Mordecai, and it'll be interesting to see if he hangs around and re-signs because he's been here and he's comfortable here, or if he jets off to somewhere else and gives a shot at making another team's roster. So that happened today. The Niners also signed running back Jeff Wilson. He was at practice today wearing number 20. They also signed yesterday Keyshawn Vaughn and waived Zach Johnson, the offensive lineman. So they've added in Vaughn and Jeff Wilson a couple of veteran running backs that know the system. Why did they need another running back? Well, as we talked about, they're dinged up, and Jordan James has got an injury. Amir Abdullah was placed on IR today with a rib injury, and that's unfortunate because Abdullah had actually looked pretty good. But yeah, the 49ers are down some backs right now. They don't want to put too much on CMC and Corey Kiner. I asked Shanahan about the game the other night. I said, hey, what did you like the most about your offense? And he said, I thought we pass blocked better than I thought we did when I first watched it. And he said, the other thing I really liked is I liked how hard Corey ran. Talking about Corey Kiner, the rookie from Cincinnati, and he did run hard. So I thought that was interesting. That was from Shanahan earlier today. All right, couple other news and notes today. Demarcus Robinson we're told today he is going through the appeals process from his suspension. It's a violation of the NFL's conduct policy. We don't have any details other than that. Couple other notes. Shanahan said that Isaac Guerrero with the shoulder injury is still at least 2 weeks away from returning. So it's another running back they'll be getting back. Marquis Siegel, who was dinged up in the game Saturday night, practiced today, and so did Tatum Bethune. So that was good to see. Also, Bosa, CMC, and Trent Williams all practiced today. And then we were told by Shanahan that Renardo Green's got a hamstring, that he's going to be out at least another week. The other thing I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on, and a question that I think at some point probably has to be asked, is why are the 49ers always so injured? Why are the 49ers always among the most injured teams in the NFL under John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan? Why? I want to know. 2018, 4th most injured. 2019, 6th most injured. Despite that, they went to the Super Bowl. 2020, they were the most injured team in the NFL, and this is according to games missed. Games missed by starters, I believe. 2021, 3rd most injured. 2022, 9th most injured. 2023, they were the 29th most injured, so they were relatively healthy, and they went to the Super Bowl. 2024, last year, they were the most injured again. We're talking about 6 of Shanahan's 7 seasons since 2018. His team has finished in the top 10 for being among the most injured in all of pro football. Their average injury, they are on average during Shanahan's run here, they are the 7.6. So they're between 7 and 8, the 7th and 8th most injured team in pro football on average since Shanahan and Lynch have taken over. Why? Why is that? Are their practices that much harder than other teams? Are they going that much harder? Is it that much more grueling, their style of play? I mean, that's, if you had the answer, you would do something about it. But I mean, 2 times just in the last 7 years, the 49ers, there's 32 teams in the league. And in the last 7 years, the 49ers have been the most injured team in the league twice. And 2 other times in the last 7 years have they finished in the top 5. They finished in the top 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. They finished in the top 6 of the most injured teams in pro football 5 times in Shanahan's 7 seasons since 2018. That's, well, why? Why is it? Is it something they're doing? Is it their training staff? Is it their surface? Is it their scheme? Is it their practice habits? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I really don't. But, I mean, that question has to be asked. Why? Why are the 49ers always the most injured team? It's like without fail. It's without fail. And some years they've overcome it and rode it all the way to a Super Bowl appearance. All right. Couple other thoughts. Practice today. We had a chance to see practice today. It was a relatively short practice. I don't know if I can call it short. It was 80 minutes, 90 minutes roughly. And there were a number of interesting things. One, there was a little skirmish. Little Fred Warner, Patrick Taylor Jr. got into a little bit of a beef. It didn't go anywhere. It was just, these guys are tired of each other at this point. But this was training camp practice number 13. And some of the things that happened that we saw today. Marquise Siegel got first team reps. Shanahan told us after practice. Lombardi asked the question, is Siegel in line to potentially start at one of the safety spots? And Shanahan at first didn't want to say so, didn't want to say yes, you could tell. But then was like, yeah, he might, it's wide open there. He's like, it's wide open. And Saleh said, hey, look, both safety spots are wide freaking open as far as who's going to play and who's going to start and that kind of thing. So, yeah, but Marquise Siegel, who looked awesome Saturday night. Marquise Siegel had a game. He looked terrific. He was everywhere, absolutely everywhere, making tons of plays. What a player. What a player he is. So that was interesting that he was running with the ones today. Now, there were a lot of injuries, but still very impressive. Mac Jones connected with Ricky Pearsall for a red zone touchdown. Ricky had a great day in the red zone today, catching touchdowns from Purdy and from Jones. Nick Bosa grabbed an interception on a Brock Purdy pass that was tipped by the newest defensive end, Trevis Gibson, into the air, and then Bosa picked it off. Bosa was everywhere. He had pressures. He had a sack. He had a pick. It's amazing when you put a great player on the field, how much they produce. Mentioned Marquise Siegel took first team reps. He also had a knee injury Saturday night, right? He had a little bit of a knee injury, but he practiced with it. So obviously it's not a big deal. Tatum Bethune also practiced today and looked really good, making a lot of plays with he hurt his ankle with an ankle roll of some kind on Saturday night, but obviously it wasn't too serious because he practiced. Upton Stout did not practice today with the calf injury. I don't know how serious it is or if it's just precaution. We did see Jeff Wilson out there for the first time wearing number 20. We saw Andre Dillard out there practicing for the first time. They called him off the PUP. He was wearing 65. Jason Pinnock continues to make nice plays. He had a PBU on a pass play. Yatir Gross-Matos, according to Shanahan, is likely to be out another week. I mean, that guy's just always hurt. I mean, he has been literally hurt ever since he got here. The Niners, because of so many guys, I mean, think about, they have 9 guys on either IR, PUP, or the NFI list, right? So you got those 9 guys out. And then these 15 guys didn't practice today. There was no Renardo Green, Jawan Jennings, Jordan Watkins, Jacob Cowing, Upton Stout, Trey Brown, Richie Grant, Jordan James, Isaac Garendo, Fabian Moreau, Robert Beal Jr., Kevin Givens, Jordan Elliott, Sam Aquinu, Mikael Williams. All 15 of those guys sat it out today. didn't practice. And because the Niners were so limited, they basically canceled their one-on-ones. There were no one-on-one drills today. And then they blended the twos and the threes. Usually they'll go ones and then twos and then threes. And they haven't even had a cut down. There is no cut down. There's just one, it used to be cut from 90 to 75 to 53. Now there's just one cut. So you got 90 guys all the way through camp. But the Niners couldn't run a third unit out there today on either side of the ball because they didn't have enough guys. So they ran their ones, and then they took a blended group of twos and threes, and that's how they got through practice. So as I said, only 7 wide receivers even suited up today. So, I mean, the Niners are down a lot of players. They're down 24 players. Last year, when the Niners canceled the joint practice with the Saints, Nick Wagner had this line. This why Nick's amazing with some of these stats. The Niners had 23 players not participating last year, and they canceled their joint practice with the Saints. This year, they have 15 players that didn't practice today and 9 more that are on some list that also aren't practicing. So now you got 24 guys out. It's a one-day practice with the Saints, so they're going to gut it out, but they're shorthanded. They are shorthanded. Now, returning to practice today to kind of ease the burden a little bit, Evan Anderson, who's got a knee bruise, but he was back out there. In fact, at one point, the ones on the defensive line were Evan Anderson, Alfred Collins at tackle, and Huff and Bosa at end, which would be pretty intriguing. That would give you your 2 best pass rushers and your 2 best run defenders on the same line at the same time. Now, I don't know if that's something they want to take a look at or if it's just today because of all the bodies that were missing, all the guys who were missing, but I thought that was kind of interesting. Also returning to practice today, I mentioned Andre Dillard off the PUP list. Chaz Surratt's healthy. He also made a couple plays. Jair Brown returned to practice today. So just some of the things. Also, Robbie Chosen made a really nice diving catch on a ball in the end zone from Mac Jones. So Chosen's made a number of plays, and Shanahan kind of said afterwards that, that Robbie Chosen was here and got caught up in a numbers game. But this year he says that he's got a much better opportunity to make the final roster because, there's so many injuries at wide receiver. The final cutdown day, by the way, is August 26th at 1 p.m. Pacific. That's the final cutdown date. Couple other things before we get into some of the audio clips, and I definitely want to play some of the audio clips, and also want to get your guys' thoughts. We got a bunch of people in the chat. We appreciate all you guys in the chat. Oh, I told you before we were going to talk a little bit about players who are realistic trade possibilities and aren't realistic. Now, Bleacher Report did a whole breakdown. Players who potentially could be traded by the cutdown, 1 per team. For the Niners, I think it was Yatir Gross-Matos. And it is an interesting list. It's always a list that I want to peruse because I want to get a feel for, who's out there. Is it possible that, some players could be traded? What's a realistic trade option? What's not a realistic trade option? All right. So they list a bunch of guys here. And some of them are realistic, some aren't. Let's go through the ones that aren't realistic. Trey Hendrickson. I don't think Cincinnati's going to trade him. I don't see the Niners trading for him. I don't think it's reasonable to have two defensive ends making that kind of cash on one team. I'd love to have Trey Hendrickson. Are you kidding me? If the Niners were just like one piece away, I'd be like, if they were just an absolute ready-made Super Bowl team that were just a defensive end away, I'd say, yeah, go get Trey Hendrickson. But they're not. So to me, that's even though he'd be awesome, and I'd love to watch him, he'd be incredible opposite Bosa. I think that's a little too rich for their blood. Tyreek Hill, he'd be great, be awesome, big play wide receiver. I think he's too rich for their blood. Micah Parsons, is he going to get dealt? First of all, I don't believe Jerry's going to deal him, but he's also just making too much. Come on, Micah Parsons? No. Terry McLaurin. I've done a video on this and floated this name out to you guys, and we've talked about the possibility. And Ayuk, and Daniels loves Ayuk, and maybe he'd love to have Ayuk, and JJ's was drafted by Peters, and maybe they want Niner guys, and maybe McLaurin's going to get dealt. I don't know. I just don't think McLaurin's going to get dealt. And then the other name that they threw out on this list that I also don't think is very realistic is Kenneth Walker. I think Kenneth Walker would be great. I love Kenneth Walker, the Seattle running back. I mean, the Niners could definitely use another running back. You can never have enough running backs, but John Schneider's not trading you Kenneth Walker, and he's not going to. Why are they getting rid of Kenneth Walker at the beginning of the year? They're going to just lean on Charbonnet, and they don't need. Well, I don't buy it. So Hendrickson, Tyreek Hill, Parsons, McLaurin, Kenneth Walker, those are the not realistic trade options. All right, how about realistic trade options? Well, let's go through the list. There's a few that I think are realistic trade options. And these are guys that it might cost you a little bit, but I think these are the kinds of guys that I would be interested in if I was John Lynch. The first one we just saw when Denver was here this weekend, John Franklin Myers, the defensive lineman for the Broncos, number 98 or whatever he wore. I forget what number he wore. He's 28 years old. He's a free agent at the end of the year. He's angling for a new contract. He didn't get one. Zach Allen got one. Cooper got one. Peyton's talking about Nick Bonito deserving one. And Franklin Myers wants an extension. He's not getting it. He's not getting one. Denver can't pay everybody. This guy was a 2018 fourth rounder. He's 29 in September. They just drafted Savion Jones out of LSU. So he's kind of a replacement. But Franklin's 6'4", 290. And he's kind of a beast up front. He can rush the passer. He had 40 tackles and 7 sacks last year. And for Denver, you say, well, why the hell would they trade him, Krug? Well, if they trade him, they save $8 million in cap space. He's the kind of versatile defensive lineman that I think would be scheme versatile and would be a good ad for the Niners. Probably going to cost you a decent pick, but that's, to me, you want to talk about a realistic name, that they potentially could add. If Denver realistically doesn't want to sign this guy long-term, maybe he's out there. Maybe he's available. Another one, and I know Dieter and I have talked about this. Dieter's like, Green Bay would never trade with the Niners. Probably true, but we've seen divisional trades in the NFL definitely before. The Packers have a logjam at wide receiver. They just signed Isaiah Nair. They've got Christian Watson. They've got McCole Hardman. They drafted Matthew Golden. They've drafted Savion Williams. They just got a lot of dudes at wide receiver. Hardman, Jaden Reed, Dontavion Wicks, Romeo Dobbs, Malik Heath. They got an undrafted rookie named Will Shepard. They're all competing for 2 or 3 spots, and there's a lot of talk they're going to trade Romeo Dobbs. Now, I think Dobbs is exactly the kind of receiver that the Niners need. He's 25. He's been productive. He's a little inconsistent throughout his career, but 1,700 yards and 15 touchdowns in 43 NFL games. He's a free agent at the end of the year. That's why they would move him. The Packers can save $3.4 million if they trade him. That's the kind of receiver that I think the Niners need. Romeo Dobbs. He's not a super burner, but he can run. He's not, I think he would be a nice complement to what they have. Now, I don't know if you can get him out of Green Bay, but Green Bay sure has a lot of receivers. They're going to probably wind up trading one at the cut down. The other guy I'd be interested in would be Bo Melton, but they're not even playing him at receiver anymore. They're playing him at corner, and I might be interested in him as a two-way player, little receiver and corner and special teamer. So we'll see if Bo Melton gets cut, but he's an interesting one. Another name that I think is a realistic trade target is Michael Mayer. 35th pick by the Raiders a couple years ago. Then the Raiders took Bowers last year in the top 15, and Mayer had 21 catches for 156 yards last season. According to the reports I'm reading, Vic Tafur says the Raiders have him on the market. He's 24. I love this guy at Notre Dame. I think he can be great. He had 800 plus yards and 9 touchdowns in his final season in South Bend. He would be a great Niner. And if they really do want another tight end, man, Mayer and Kittle and Farrell would be a tremendous group of tight ends. Another guy that I think makes a lot of sense and I think is a realistic trade target is Ty Chandler, the running back for the Vikings. You know, the Vikings a year ago signed Aaron Jones, and then what did they do? This offseason they traded for Jordan Mason. So I mean they got a packed house. And Ty Chandler now falls into the number 3 running back spot. And he's also a kick returner. He can help you on special teams. But Vikings also signed Rondale Moore. They added Silas Bolden, Ty Felton. They all have special teams potential. Chandler is a really interesting return guy. He averaged 25.2 yards per return in his career. He's got ability as a return guy. And he also has ability as a running back. I've been a big Ty Chandler fan going back to North Carolina. 2023 averaged 4.5 yards a carry in the NFL. Last year, just 3.3. But the Vikings can save 1.1 million in cap space if they trade Ty Chandler. He's 27. You know, if the Niners are looking for an extra back, that's the guy right there. He can help you on special teams. He's fast. You know, all Shanahan backs need to have some speed. Ty Chandler would be nice if he doesn't make the Vikings or if he's somehow available in that cutdown, the final week before the cutdown. And the other one that makes a lot of sense to me is Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, the New York Giants they signed Brian Burns, they drafted Abdul Carter. They did exercise the 5th-year option on Kayvon Thibodeau's contract, but there's a lot of speculation out of New York that he's not going to be a long-term guy there. He had 17 sacks over the last 2 seasons, so the guy's got some ability for sure. But the Giants are building, and they probably need more draft capital to kind of support Jackson Dart down the road. And if they trade Thibodeau, they save $5 million in cap space. Kayvon Thibodeau is the kind of edge rushing piece that I think would be really a nice get for the 49ers. So anyway, my 5 unrealistic trade options: Hendrickson, Hill, Parsons, McLaurin, Walker. My 5 more realistic trade options: Michael Mayer, John Franklin Myers, Romeo Doubs, Kayvon Thibodeau, Ty Chandler. I'm sure there might be people out there who would say none of them are reliable, but are possible. But I kind of think that a number of those guys are going to wind up getting moved as we get close to the cut down here in the end of August. Couple other notes before we get into some of the chat and some of the video that I want to show you guys. The one big takeaway from the other night, you know, I mean, I had a bunch of takeaways, but the big takeaway was just, man, the Niners aren't bad. I like the way they look on both sides of the ball, but the depth isn't there. So they really can't afford to have a bunch of injuries, especially not a bunch more injuries than they've had. But they have some good looking players. I mean, my first thought Saturday night was, man, the Niners are pretty freaking loaded. They just had their 86 draft. They just had their volume draft. They're going to have double-digit rookies on this team, and there's a lot of good ones. We're going to talk about a few of them right here, but the one thing, they're just not that deep, and I'd love to see Shanahan be real conservative as far as how he plays his guys the rest of the preseason, just because you just can't afford to lose Dom Pooney or Pearsall or any of these guys. I mean, you've already lost a number of guys. Luckily, you haven't lost a lot of them long term, but you still have lost guys, and you don't want to start the year with 20 guys out of your camp roster of 90 just incapacitated in one way or another. All right, who looked good Saturday night according to PFF? I think that's kind of interesting as well. PFF ranked the 5 highest graded 49ers on offense against the Broncos. Guess who got the highest grade? Connor Colby. Connor Colby got the highest grade. That's pretty awesome. Connor Colby was the highest graded 49er. And he had the highest run blocking grade on the team, 73.3. He did not allow a single pressure in 21 pass block snaps. This is a big revelation. This is a big happening. Connor Colby in the one-on-ones looked like he was getting beat pretty good by the pass rushers, both the Niners and the Broncos. But when I asked Furster about it, he said he looks really good. He reminds me of Dom Pooney last year, which is an awesome thing to hear if you're a Niner fan, right? Because Pooney was one of the best rookie offensive linemen in the league. And I said, in what way? And he said, he's like, we could trust Dom Pooney to pass protect last year. And that was his point. We can trust Connor Colby this year as a pass blocker. And I was shocked by that. Shocked. But he's like, yeah, I know he struggled in some of the one-on-ones, but in 5-man pressure, he really is very, very reliable and very, very good. So that was great to hear. And if you can pass block, you can play, according to Furster. So Connor Colby, I think, is a lock to make the team. And I think there's a very good opportunity for him to play. If Ben Bartch gets hurt, and Ben Bartch in his career has gotten hurt a lot. If Ben Bartch gets hurt, Connor Colby could step in for him at left guard and maybe never look back. So I'm really excited about Connor Colby. Played at Iowa, 50 career starts, similar scheme. I've talked to him in the locker room. He's kind of like your aw shucks kind of a guy. He's not a braggadocious guy. He's just a kind of a soft-spoken mauler. Really like that pick, and I really like it this morning. Couple other notes from the game, PFF style. Trey Brown got the 49ers' highest PFF grade overall, offense or defense, 93.5. He played 22 snaps. So that's a good sign. Trey Brown playing really solid football on the corner. They need good play in their secondary, and if Trey Brown can provide that, that's great. I think they've guaranteed him $500,000, so he's got a pretty good opportunity to make the roster just because of that guarantee. Drew Moss, the rookie right guard from Colorado State, earned the highest pass blocking grade. He got a pass blocking grade of 83.7. So that's good. I mean, that's a very good number there. So, looking at the Niners, the highest graded 49er players on offense, Connor Colby, Drew Moss, Demarcus Robinson, Jake Tongas, and Corey Kiner. The 5 highest graded defensive players for the 49ers, Trey Brown, Luke Gifford, Jalen Mahoney, the second-year safety, actually played really well, Chase Lucas, and D. Winters. D. Winters only played 11 snaps, but he had one of the 5 highest grades of any 49ers. Now, who were the lowest graded players? The lowest graded offensive players were the Niner quarterbacks, Tanner Mordecai, Carter Bradley. Both of them, Mordecai had 12 snaps. Bradley played 29 snaps. They were horrible. Amir Abdullah also, he got hurt. He had played 5 snaps. Lowest graded 3 offensive players, Mordecai, Bradley, and Abdullah. Lowest graded 49er players on the defensive side of the ball, Michael Dwumfor, Jalen Graham, and Nick Martin. Nick Martin played 49 snaps. And, it's like he did some amazing things, and he showed that sideline to sideline range, but he missed a bunch of tackles. He was jumpy. They completed a bunch of passes on him. It was a little bit of a baptism by fire. Mac Jones played 15 snaps. He was the highest graded 49er player on the offensive side of the football. I thought that was interesting. So a good night for Mac Jones. How about the dime that Mac Jones threw to Watkins? I know that was the one that got everybody's attention, but what really got my attention was, Mac Jones doesn't look like a guy with quick feet, but man, he's really showing good footwork, making throws from the pocket. He looks really good. And one other note that I found interesting today before we get to some of the audio, Brock Purdy is listed as the 14th quarterback. He was in tier 2 of Mike Sando's quarterback tier article, and overall he's listed as the 14th best quarterback. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. It might be a tad low because you have Dak Prescott on the same level as him, and I think he's quite a bit better than Dak Prescott. But you know what? Prescott's had some amazing, has had some amazing moments in the NFL and has put up some incredible numbers. So it's not totally crazy, but Brock Purdy, according to Mike Sando for ESPN or for The Athletic, formerly of ESPN.com, now with The Athletic, his quarterback tiers article is out, and he's got Brock Purdy listed as the 14th best quarterback in the NFL. So interesting stuff there for sure from Sando. And, I was looking at the list. Let's see, I have it in front of me here. It's an interesting list. It's, as you would expect, the top tier is Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jackson, and Stafford, which I thought was surprising. I don't know if I'd put Stafford up there anymore. In fact, I wouldn't. They had Mahomes and Burrow tied for one. It's like, Mike, come on. Scouts, come on. Get off the fence. Make a call. Is it Mahomes or is it Burrow? Who's the best? They said they're tied for the best quarterback in football. Josh Allen's third. Lamar's fourth. Stafford's fifth. They have Daniels sixth. Herbert seven. The second tier starts with Daniels, then Herbert, then Goff, then Stroud, then Hurts, Mayfield, Prescott, Love, and Purdy at 14. And then 15, 16, and 17, that third tier is Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Tua Tagovailoa. And then that's that third tier. That also in that tier is Trevor Lawrence, Geno, Nix, Darnold, Drake May, Caleb, Bryce Young, Kirk Cousins. And then the bottom tier, or I should say the next tier, they have Kenny Pickett at the bottom tier all by himself. The next tier, next to Kenny Pickett is Russell Wilson, who might be a future Hall of Famer, Fields, Michael Penix, who definitely belongs higher on this list, J.J. McCarthy, Daniel Jones, Joe Flacco, Anthony Richardson, Spencer Rattler, Kenny Pickett listed there at 34. So they rank the top 34, and they have Purdy at 14. These rankings are always fun. I mean, I don't know. I mean, personally, I think I'd have Purdy behind Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Jackson, Stafford, Daniels, Herbert. Yeah, that's it. I'd probably, maybe Hurts. You got to give Hurts. He just won the Super Bowl. That's 8. Yeah, I would have Purdy right around 9 or 10. I think he's better than Love. I think he's better. I mean, Love threw an interception in the game that Purdy's team came back from behind and beat them in the playoffs. But he's ranked in front of Brock. I mean, Love hasn't been to a Super Bowl. Brock has, but Love's at 13 and Brock's at 14. That seems kind of curious. So I think he's better than Love. I think he's better than Prescott. I think he's better than Baker. I think he's better than Goff. I think he's better than Stroud. Now, Stroud has got a lot of talent. There's no question about that. And Stroud at times looks good. But yeah, I would say, okay, 14 for Purdy. It's not offensive. I'd have him more like 10, but whatever. I think they did. It's a pretty interesting piece, and he consults with a lot of people, coaches and executives and people in the know. It's not just like he threw this list together and just threw a bunch of names against the wall. Sando's very thoughtful. He takes his time, and he puts this out there once a year, and it provides a lot of dialogue and a lot of talk for sure. So. All right, so that's pretty much now we've kind of gone through all the different things that I wanted to get through tonight. Now let's play some cuts. I'm going to first start with Shanahan. Let's see if we can start with Shanahan here. Here we go. We got Kyle Shanahan talking a little bit about well, let's see. We'll play Shanahan talking about Ayuk and whether he's going to return, and if so, when is it going to be? And he kind of groups all of these guys together, and is like, well, I expect them all back at the same time, so I'll just put this all out there together. But here's Shanahan today talking about, the timeline on Malik Mustafa, Brandon Ayuk, and others. Here we go. A little Shanahan from Santa Clara. Hold on a second. Put the volume back up. There we go. Here we go.
Any better idea now, rough idea about Brandon Ayuk's return and when he could actually, play for you in a game this season?
Not really. I don't know what I've said in the past, but I kind of view all those guys around the same time, whether it's Mustafa, whether it's Rourke, or whether it's Brandon. They're all at different stages, but where they're at, I always see them around week 6, which means that could be week 10, means it could be week 5. But that's the area where I start thinking about it, which is a long ways away. I know it's not week 1 or anything like that, and so it's something I'm not really thinking about too much.
So there you go. There were some reports a few weeks ago. Maybe it's week 1. No, it's not week 1. It's probably week 6. But then he quickly said, "But it could be week 10." So there you go. And to me, when I hear it could be week 6 or it could be week 10, I just immediately think it's week 10. Maybe that's just the pessimist in me. But when you hear a guy throw out, well, could be week 5, but it could be week 6, which could be week 5 or could be week 10. Bank on week 10. All right, here is Shanahan again, this time talking about Marquise Siegel, who was so impressive the other night. And Lombardi asked him if he's got a chance to start, and I think Shanahan wanted to say no, but then thought about it and said, "Man, it's wide open. Yeah, he's got a shot. Here it is." Oh, wait, hold on a second.
Siegel have a chance to grab that starting spot at safety?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I think there's a lot of open competition there. I thought he had a real good game, special teams and on defense. So I wouldn't rule him out for that.
So that's big. I mean, Salah said, "Hey, the safety spot is wide open." But for a rookie to potentially, jump in and play safety, that's a very heady position. It's a huge challenge for a rookie to, be mentally up to speed and ready to roll like that. That's interesting to me. That he's like, okay, we might be going with him. By the way, I mentioned Connor Colby before. I'm going to share the screen on this as well, so you guys can take a look at this. This is a graphic that Coach Yak put up today on rookie O linemen to allow 0 pressures in preseason week 1. And there are a bunch of guys, but Connor Colby right there, 21 snaps, 0 pressures. An interesting list. And some of these guys I was hoping the Niners would get in the draft. Anthony Belton has played 20 snaps for Green Bay. He has yet to allow a pressure. Esapole was a guy that I really liked. He's gone 27 snaps, no pressures. Jackson Slater, my buddy, my Sac State brother, came on the Krueger show in the springtime. I was really hoping the Niners would come away with him. He's had 27 snaps with no sacks allowed, no pressures allowed. So that's pretty good. 0 pressures in week 1. Chase Lunt from Connecticut, another guy. But man, it's good to see Connor Colby on that list. And Chris Furster really likes Connor Colby and thinks that Colby's got a ton of potential. And I do as well. I mean, that's a really good program. He's really well coached. There's a calmness to Connor Colby when you watch him that is awesome. You're sitting there going, wow, this guy looks really, really calm. Really calm. All right, let's hear another one here. We've got let's see. Raj put some stuff out as well that I wanted to play for you guys off RSF 49ers. Raj talked. Jeff Wilson was there today, and here's a little Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson, I got to be honest, Shanahan said he looked like the same guy. And I'm like, that's so funny because, like, My takeaway is he didn't look like the same guy. I think he looks like a shadow of his former self. He didn't look very good, but obviously Shanahan's not going to say that. He looked like crap. It's like you probably had to beg this guy to come here, but here it is. Here's a little Jeff Wilson.
Was in a rough spot, but as soon as the news started circulating about me coming here, I had so many fans like DMing me and texting me, man, we miss you, we love you. And it was man, like it's people that, still care and love. And that was the main reasons why I made it kind of sweeter to come back, because it was like having those people reach out. It's like, man, we miss you, we love you, thank you. It's just all those things go a long way. You never know what a person's going through. So when you hit those things at the right time, it could be a big difference.
Jeff, I love Jeff, man. Jeff's solid. Solid guy, and he speaks from the heart there. It's like, hey man, he's feeling bad, he doesn't have a job, he's been in the league for a number of years, and it's like, hey, how about go to San Francisco? And all of a sudden you announce that you're signing there, and all of a sudden it's like Niner fans start swarming you with a lot of love. And I just think that kind of stuff is cool. That kind of stuff to me is really cool, because these guys are people, man, and this is a nomadic sport. They're all over the map. Tomorrow's promised to nobody. They're risking paralysis on every snap. I mean, it's a tough job. It's a tough job. I wanted to play you one more here from off Raj's Twitter, and let's see. We have one I wanted to. Here it is. This is Chase Lucas after the game. Chase Lucas deserves a little shout out, because Chase Lucas played his ass off the other night. It was awesome. It was really incredible to watch. Here he is in the locker room after the ball game. I'm not sure if this is the question I asked him or not, but here it is.
Kyle specifically called you the Energizer Bunny. Is that a nickname you've earned, and how'd you do that?
I mean, I don't think I've earned that yet, because I know Kyle be hearing me talking stuff. But at the end of the day, I just be me, man. At the end of the day, if I got to get my teammates wired up, I'm gonna do it, because that's just naturally who I am as a person. So if I got to take that nickname, I'll take it.
I love the spirit of Chase Lucas, man. And who knows, Robert Saleh, this is why I love Robert Saleh. It's like, this guy understands, like, is Chase Lucas a great cover guy? Well, not necessarily. But you know what he is? He is a football player who loves contact. He's not afraid. And use him as a blitzer. And Robert has used him as a blitzer. And he looks good as a blitzer. I mean, that was one thing that I noticed. I'm like, whoa, he really looks good as a blitzer. And who knows, maybe he can be a slot. Maybe he can be the backup slot corner and give this team an awful lot as a blitzer. I'd love to see it. Here's the question I asked Kyle Shanahan yesterday or today about what do you think of the game and who stood out on the offensive side? Here's what he had to say.
What did you like the most when you rewatched the game about your offense?
I thought we blocked better than I anticipated. There's a few that I thought got away from us from the sidelines, but when I watched the tape, I was encouraged with some of the young guys. I liked how Corey ran. I thought he ran hard. We'll keep pushing him to get better as a runner, but I just love the mentality he ran with. Those are the things that stuck out the most.
Yeah, it wasn't. There wasn't tons of positive. There wasn't tons of positive, but the fact that he loved Corey Kiner and some of the young guys, once again, back to PFF. PFF looked at the Niners and said, hey, you know what? The best, the highest graded Niner on offense were the two rookie linemen, Connor Colby and Drew Moss. Both those guys got 77.8. One guy, Moss, got 77.3. Colby played 41 snaps. Moss played 29 snaps. But, that's interesting. Last year, the Niners got Dom Pooney. There's an awful lot of people walking around going, the Niners ignored their offensive line. They did nothing, absolutely nothing. But the two highest graded guys in their offense were both rookie linemen. So maybe we need to amend the Niners didn't do anything. It looks to me like they may have their guard and center of the future in Connor Colby and Drew Moss. I will say this, though. If there was one thing that I saw this weekend that kind of was like, ugh, it's like, God, why did the Niners not go for this guy? I got to show you the film of Willie Lampkin. I don't know if you've seen the Willie Lampkin film from this weekend. Here it is right here. Oh, Willie Lampkin. I wanted this guy so bad in the draft. This guy started. My buddy Rick Mueller recruited this kid to Coastal Carolina. Okay. He was awesome. This guy was an awesome wrestler in high school. He was like 166-0. He's 5'11", 290. Unbelievable leverage. Unbelievable strength, balance, and athleticism. He transferred from Coastal to North Carolina, finished up. Then he went to the Senior Bowl and he dominated. And I was just begging. I wanted the Niners to get this guy. This was going to be the center of the future. And he went undrafted. But he got signed by Les Snead and the Rams after the draft. And here he is. And look at this guy. He's number whatever he is right here. Here's the center. Gigantic wide guy. First of all, he's only 5'11", 290. But the overpowering nature of this guy's blocking is just unbelievable. This would have been the Niners center of the future. Somebody sent me a note today. He's going to get cut, Krug. Watch. I don't think so, man. He's not going to get cut. Come on, McVay's not an idiot. Here he is. And that's a pancake, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the International House of Pancakes. And that's a pancake, ladies and gentlemen. That's number 2. And that is a pancake. 92, you just got pancaked. 51, you just got pancaked. That's 4 pancakes. 4 pancakes. Willie Lampkin. Oh, my gosh. Maybe the Rams will cut him. That one hurt. I wanted to see Willie Lampkin with the 49ers, and we didn't get it. Couple more cuts though that I want to play you guys. And then we'll hit the chat. There was some great stuff off of let's see. Oh, I wanted to show the highlight of Mack to Watkins. What a dime that was. And my son put it out on his Twitter. And by the way, I'm going to show a couple of these. One, here's the first one. This is Corey Kiner, who I really love. I'm a big Corey Kiner head. If you've been following me this summer, I'm big on Corey Kiner. The heart that this kid has is just off the charts. And the contact balance is super rare. Here he is, 49. I mean, just the jump cuts and the power. I mean, that was hardly an incredible run, but I mean, the jump cuts and the power, this kid runs with tremendous heart. I mean, he's just explosive in a short area. He's really nice. Really nice. Corey Kiner. I think he's going to be a really nice player. I think this is the guy that's going to replace Elijah Mitchell as the finisher. This is a guy who he's very efficient runner, and he fights and claws for every run. He doesn't fumble, and he's just a tough kid. And I just think that, you get to the fourth quarter and some of these games this year, you're playing Carolina, you got a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. You get to the 8-minute mark. Don't run McCaffrey. Do not run McCaffrey, or he's not going to make it to the end of the year. Run this guy. He'll fight for every yard, and the game will be over before you know it. So there's a little bit of Corey Kiner, big Corey Kiner head. Okay, but there's one more I got to show you that Kev put out, and it was the absolute dime from Mac Jones to Watkins, and it's just, here it is, just an absolute dot. And what I loved about this is just it's a fade route, which, fade routes are easy picks if you don't throw it with accuracy. And Mac throws the post fade, corner fade, whatever. I think it was a post fade. And he just absolutely put it in a perfect spot. I mean, like, you can't put this in a better spot. This is just a flat dime. And if Jones is this accurate, Jones is gonna have a career renaissance here in San Francisco, folks. If he can be this accurate, look at the accuracy. Steve Young and I have talked many times about what makes an NFL quarterback. One of the things he'll talk about is that accuracy can be improved, but it really can't be coached. If you're not accurate, nobody's going to be able to be like, you can't go to accuracy school. You either are or you aren't. You either do or you don't. And watch this dime from Mac Jones. And look at Zakelj just get absolutely destroyed by 98. That's the guy I was just saying the Niners ought to trade for. But that is a perfect dime on the outside shoulder away from the defender. He doesn't lead him. And he doesn't even feel Zakelj just getting destroyed. Look at that. Zakelj just get absolutely destroyed. And there's a noise that goes along. When your offensive lineman is getting destroyed the way Zakelj's getting destroyed here by 98, this makes a noise. And Mac just stood in, saw the pocket collapsing, and delivers this dime to the outside shoulder with loft, away from the defender. Dime. Absolute perfect. Perfect throw. And he does this. I mean, it's like, it'd be one thing if it was like he made one throw like this a month. This is what the guy does every day in practice. He throws these deep ball dimes. And this is not even that deep of a pass, but Mac Jones, ladies and gentlemen, looks fantastic in a 49er uniform. I can't tell you how good Mac Jones has looked. He has looked that good. I'm just so impressed by what Mac Jones has been able to do in a 49er uniform. What a great get. I mean, he serves as an incredible motivator, but at the same time, he's an amazing. This guy's a good prospect in his own right. Nick Martin had a bad game, but I do want to show this play. I did a video on this, and I did a video on some of Nick Martin's bad plays. Now, a lot of people are like, Nick Martin. Look at this play. Now, this is a negative play. I was joking with Guy Haberman because Haberman was like, here comes Nick Martin, and he gets by him. And it's like, okay, but let's go back to the pre-snap. This is a run left by R.J. Harvey, who's quick, right? And here are your linebackers. This is Gifford playing defensive left outside linebacker, okay? You got a 4-3 going here, right? 4-3, 4-3. Gifford, left outside linebacker. Tatum Bethune, middle linebacker. Nick Martin's over here playing the right outside linebacker, okay? And it's going to be a run to the offensive right, defensive left. So it's a run to the left, away. They're on the side, the hash close to the sideline. They're going to run to the short side of the field, and Gifford's going to get caught up in the trash. Bethune, I think, is going to get caught up, and the guy who reads it the best is the rookie. He's going to take an aggressive angle, which is going to have him chasing it from the left linebacker spot all the way to the other side of the field, and he doesn't make the play. But this is the kind of sideline to sideline range that Martin has. And it was another play where if you watch this live and you didn't see where he lined up, you'd be like, oh, he missed the tackle. But look where he's coming from, and look at the other two linebackers. They kind of misread it. He reads it correctly, gets through all the trash, and gets out there. Gifford thinks it's going in that alley. He dives at it. Bethune was there just in case Siegel didn't bang him out of bounds there. But look at Martin. I mean, that's unbelievable range. So, yeah, he overran stuff. He missed tackles. He fell off tackles. But But what you're seeing right there, you can't teach that. You can't teach somebody to run across the field. And I've talked to Johnny Holland about this. You can go watch my YouTube interviews of Johnny Holland. Johnny describes this exact same thing. He's like, man, this guy will be on this side of the field, and he'll see something on the other side of the field in like 4 steps. He's full bore on the other side of the field. So wasn't a great night for Nick Martin. He'll have many, many better nights. He's trying to learn this scheme, and I'm sure his head's swimming. But that kind of pursuit ability, that kind of sideline to sideline range is why they drafted him. And he'll have many, many good games in this league. There's no doubt in my mind. I love watching this kid play, by the way. But look how far he goes. He's way over here. Now he's way over here, and he almost makes the tackle, but he doesn't. Anyway, wasn't a great night for Nick, but it was a great night for a lot of Niners that weren't named Carter Bradley or Tanner Mordecai. All right, let's hit the chat. Let's hit the chat. See what people have to say in the chat. And thanks to everybody who's here hanging out on a Monday night. We're back with you tomorrow night for Niners Nightly this week, by the way. Monday night, Tuesday night will be on YouTube. Wednesday and Thursday will be on the radio. And Friday, I'm taking that day off. Taking Friday off this week. I got a little event I got to hit on Friday. Okay. What do we got here? We got one guy here. Papa J says our secondary is underrated. Well, I don't know if it's underrated. It's a lot of new faces. It's young. It's a lot of young players on the defensive side. I loved what I saw from Jacob Robinson. Who is 36? I think that's Siegel, isn't it? Is pretty sure it's Siegel. Let me double check. Could check while we're sitting here, but I'm pretty sure it's Marquise Siegel is 36, and he just made a ton of tackles. He just looks great. Siegel is a difference-making safety, and I didn't know much about him. I really didn't know much about him in the draft. But once I saw the highlights of him banging shoulders with guys at the East-West game, I was like, whoa, this guy's kind of a hitter, and he's got 4.37 speed. That's a good little combination. 36 for the Niners. 35 is Dallas Flowers. 36 is Marquise Siegel. Yeah. Siegel's 36. Remember that name. Siegel is 36. Remember that name. We got this one from Law of Awe. Vasquez. It's funny, too, because I was listening to Tim Ryan, probably called him Vargas 3 times. Hey, nice play there by Vargas. It's like, Tim, this dude's badass. Let's learn this guy's name, bro. Sebastian Valdez. It's funny. Shanahan said in the postgame he probably stood out more than anybody. What a story. I mean, somewhere along the line, I'm going to get a straight answer from somebody on who banged the table for Sebastian Valdez. Shanahan didn't remember. He's like, those guys were all upstairs making all those phone calls. It's like, wow, man, really? This guy, I mean, somebody in the Niner personnel department made a call on we need Sebastian Valdez, and they got him. And wow, he looks good, man. He really does look good. And I think he's going to be, I think he's going to make the roster. I don't think there's any question he's going to make the roster. All right. Anyway, we have blown past our hour, haven't we? It's now 7:15. We start at 6. So that's going to do it for us. We have a bunch of people in the chat, though. Let me see. Seabass. There you go. Damn it. Valdez. Ha ha. Brady. Larry, how about Junior Bergen balling at punt return, kick return? It was all set up for him, but he saw the lane, got the jump cut, got outside. How much of being a great return guy is spotting the lane? And he spotted that lane. And it's a real skill, man. It's a real skill. We'll see what he can do. I mean, it sounds like they're going to be struggling just to get to field receivers. So, I think there's a very good chance that a guy like Bergen might actually benefit from all these injuries and these extra roster spots. Unless he falls on his face, I think he's got a good chance to make the team. And if he makes the team, who knows? I mean, I'll say this. I'm always intrigued by anybody who says, I want to be a Hall of Famer. Like when somebody says, I want to be decent, it always makes me go, oh, okay. But when someone says, I want to be awesome, I want to be the best that ever walked, it does make you wonder, okay, they want it, but will they work to it? Will they work for it? And if they will, then maybe you got something there. Big Brick 84 says Dallas Flowers look promising in the return game too. Yep, no question about it. Larry, you rock, man. Thank you. Anyway, hey, that's going to do it for us. We're going to end the stream. I'm going to jump over and stream with Grant Cohn on his channel, on my channel, on his channel, and we'll do a little bit more Niner talk. If you want to jump aboard on the Krueger Show, please do. Thanks to KMBR for giving us this hour. And we're back tomorrow night at 6:00 for more of Niners Nightly. Until then, have a great night. Go Niners.